everyone. I'm Fred Oakman here with Mr. Jake Peters. You're listening to PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 368, where we dive into our thoughts on all things PlayStation. And before we jump in, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, where you can also watch the video version of the podcast. You can check out our trophy list on the PSN. I'm Anchorless_81, and Jake is JakeSaw01. Send your thoughts to psthisisawesome@gmail.com. Share the show with your friends. Don't forget to rate us. For just $1 on Patreon, you can join the one and only $1 club and receive a die-cut vinyl sticker, plus a shout-out on our show. Visit patreon.com/psthisisawesome to support us. And remember, if you like our podcast, it does us a lot of good if you can like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube videos. With all of that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing today? We're recording on Monday.
Pretty good. I mean, it's been a bit of a crazy day, I guess you could say. But the weather is nice. The clock's changed, so that obviously always screws you up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm a bit tired because of it. But it's quite uplifting to see the sunshine and have it be at least a little bit warm outside. And I think it's supposed to be warmer and sunnier the rest of the week. So
yeah,
that's really exciting. Although I will say it is kind of like, we have these weather red herrings like every year. And, this is one of those things where it's like you're being tortured, and then the person that's torturing you, they let you sleep for like 20 minutes. And then they come right back with the fucking jumper cables on your nipples again. Yeah. I guarantee you it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to have this beautiful, 5-6 days, and then it's going to be some horse shit.
Yeah, the tenderizer is going to come out.
Yeah, until it like settles into like that just like rainy spring that we're used to getting around here. But what can I say? We're gotta enjoy it while you can. I just try to keep in mind whenever I'm outside, sort of, because you get like really motivated, even just to do dumb shit, like motivated to work on, like, rake the yard,
pick up
and
sticks,
clean out the garage, and because it's just the sun and the warm weather just kind of gets under your skin and like gets you moving. But I just try to remember this time of year, like, this is just temporary. It's gonna get shitty again. Just enjoy it, but don't be bummed out whenever the weather comes back. But other than that, doing okay. I had to take a car in to get worked on, so I'm not super stoked about that. But thus is life.
Yeah. I took a walk after work today. For those who don't know, Jake and I work 9 to 5s. We also do the podcast on the side, other side stuff. But I took a walk after work, and I had no clue how nice it was. It was 60 degrees, and I couldn't stop grinning. I was like, I forgot. I don't know how it happens, but our winters are so tough and so kind of miserable. The climate, the weather. We go weeks without feeling the sun on us. It's completely not a natural thing. We just kind of accept that that's just how it is. But it's, and I was like, how did I forget that just being outside can feel this good? You know what I mean? Really, and I'm 43, so I've been through this, arguably at least, gosh, I don't know, 37 years where I can remember. And
yeah,
I always forget somehow that like it can feel that good to just be outside. And it's amazing what it does for your spirit. It's insane, and it's tragic that we have to spend so long under gray skies, literal gray skies with you can't see the sun. Now it's light out, but the sun does not penetrate through the clouds at all. Like, you don't feel that warmth on you for weeks at a time here. It's insane. And when you work a morning job, you wake up and it's dark out, and then you drive to work or you go to work and you get like a half-hour lunch maybe where you can step outside, and you're lucky if the sun is out, and usually it's not. And then when you leave to go home at 5 or whatever time you go home, it's dark out. So the only time you really get outside where the sun is actually out is on the weekend. But it's usually not even actually out. It's just covered by gray clouds and sky. So it just feels so good today to be outside. So I took a walk. I need to get back into running, but I didn't want to work up a sweat and have to shower and all that shit before we do the podcast. So,
yeah, dude, I went to hockey yesterday evening, and two things. One, a lot of times I'll drive past the high school whenever I'm going to the rink, and there was a bunch of people running on the track down there yesterday evening.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, I think I'm losing Jake already somehow. What is going on with not being able to like?
Pretty nice.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I lost you. We lost you on the feed for a second. You said the first thing was weird. There were people running on the track.
Oh yeah. It wasn't as warm yesterday, but it was still pretty nice yesterday evening. Mm-hmm. But it was weird going to like a men's league game and having the sun shining in through the building while we were playing. Yeah. Like that doesn't happen.
Right.
Because usually by the time we're done with our league, we usually finish our league before the clocks change, but we're not this year. And so the clocks changed yesterday morning, I guess it was. Mm-hmm. And it's just a bizarre thing, but happy to see it.
Yeah, it's weird. The clock change messed me up too. I didn't sleep very well. And it's always weird because your phone's always right because it corrects because we're connected to the internet at all times. But then like you look at the stove clock and you're like, wait, what the fuck happened? Like, is that right? Like if you don't know that the clock changed and you just wake up and you're doing your thing, and then you look at the microwave or the stove or you get in your car, you're all fucked. For like 10 seconds, your brain is like, what happened? And then you're like, oh, okay, that thing must have happened that we do still. It's weird. We finished. We started. I finished my Coliseum that I built. It's fucking dope. It's done for Hero Quest against the Ogre Horde. We did the 3 first quests in one sitting, and that's always a good time. That was enjoyable. I'm trying to think what else. I played a concert at Riverside Brewing Company. I saw this guy that looked like your wife's dad, and I was like, that's weird. It wasn't him. It looked just like him. It was so strange. Like could have been like a brother or something, but
that's funny.
I started walking towards him to say hi, and then I did this weird maneuver where he thought I was coming at him, and I just made up a lie. I'm like, I'm just trying to avoid the crowd, and I just went around their table. But I thought it was him, but it wasn't. But did that, played a show Saturday. I watched a movie that leaned into my vertigo and fear of heights. It was this movie. It came out recently. It was on Hulu or something. I don't know where I watched it, but it was called Fall, and it's about these two ladies who are mountain climbers, and the one lady loses her husband in a mountain climbing accident, so she goes on this depression tear for like a year where she's just hitting the bottle hard and like she's getting into drugs and all kinds of bullshit. And then her friend is like, hey, you need to come out of this. We're going to climb the 4th tallest structure in the US. And her friend is like, since the death of this dude, because they're all on the climbing excursion together when he died, now she's kind of like an Instagram girl, right? And she's like always like taking pictures of herself and like, but she's actually a legitimate climber. She's good at it. And she's trying to get her friend who sunk into a depression, who lost her husband on a climb, out of it. So she goes, come on, you can do it. And her buddy's like, no, I can't. I haven't climbed in so long. I'm weak. I can't. Like, no, come on, we're going to do this. And they're like talking live, like, oh, we're on our way to go climb the 4th. It's like kind of campy, like for kids or, you know what I mean? But like, there's still something there that like piqued my interest. And they get to this, and it's like this radio tower, or some sort of satellite thing. And I don't know if it's actually a real place or not, but it's got these anchors bolted into the ground. There's like 3, steel anchors that are coming out from this thing, but it's just one singular tower. But it just looks like scaffolding, but it goes up, and there's a ladder. It goes up, and then there's this satellite thing, a dish, and then you got to get around that and climb up even farther to get to the top, and there's a platform, and then there's like a pole that would hold like a stripper pole or something. It's very top, and at the top there's a blinking red light, right? So there's no way to get to that light. You got to like shimmy up the fucking pole like a animal or something, but they get up there, and the thing's rusty, and her friend's like shaking it and shit. And she's like, "Why the fuck are you doing this?" And she's filming it, laughing. They brought like a drone and stuff and a backpack and water and stuff. And they're just, they feel confident they can get to the top. Didn't wear gloves. They just go up, dude. And this whole thing, my palms are just sweating because they're up so fucking high. They shot it pretty well. I mean, you can tell they use a green screen and stuff, but like I get in my head when I watch stuff like that, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, You're fucking crazy. Like, I could never, there's no safety feature for them. They're not, locked up, and they're not clicking in. They're just climbing this fucking old janky ladder. It's called like Fall or something, or Falling, or I don't know. But needless to say, this is probably in the trailer. Needless to say, what happens is they get to the top, and, they the ladder, there's the second set of ladders. They have to maneuver around this satellite dish and get onto this other ladder. They get to the top, and the ladder falls. It's gone, and they're now on the top of the fourth highest structure in the U.S. in the middle of a fucking desert, and they gotta like figure out what the fuck do we do now. There's no cell service because they're up too high. There's like vultures circling, and it's like they're sleeping up there. Like they drop their fucking water, and it's down on the satellite below them. They're trying to fish it with rope, and they're leaning over, and one's just fucking hanging trying to grab it with their feet. And I'm just like, fuck that, and dude. There's just no. I convinced myself that what I would do if I thought it was hopeless, which it most certainly looks and feels like, I wouldn't have the balls to jump in the daytime because I'd be too scared. So I'd somehow like psych myself into walking off the platform at night when I couldn't see anything below me, which also would be terrifying because you just wouldn't know when you're going to hit. But in some ways, I think that would be better than seeing the ground get closer. I don't know. Like, if you had to choose, would you rather fall to your death at night or in the daytime? That's such a fucking crazy question to ask, but that's where my mind was watching this. And I'm just like, because there's no situation where I just stay on that platform and get eaten alive by vultures. I think I just jump, or I try to climb down somehow and wipe out and bang my head off of metal and die before I hit the ground. I don't know, dude. It's kind of a graphic intro to the podcast, but it's an interesting show, but it played into my fear of heights in a very real way. I could feel it in my stomach and in my spine watching it, and it was hard for me to watch and get through. But it wasn't even that great of a movie. But if you like feeling a little weird watching something and you're afraid of heights, I would say maybe that would be cool. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in it. He plays a father, which is cool. He plays Negan in The Walking Dead. He's in it. Yeah, this episode airs every Wednesday for non-patrons of the show. If you are a patron of the show, you can get the episode early on our Patreon website by subscribing for $1 a month. And we are going to get into some podcast PlayStation conversation. But I do want to say I got an email today from Patreon. We use Acast, A-C-A-S-T, to upload our podcast to all of the streaming platforms. Free service for us. We're not a big podcast. We get it out there that way. And they do have exclusive feeds on Acast exclusive feeds on Patreon. Somehow the two interlink, and I was unaware that they even did this. But I got an email saying that they're severing their relationship with Acast. Patreon is. So whether that means that Acast is going out of business and we got to find another distributor for a podcast, I don't know. We'll wait to see if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen because it's a pain in the ass to do. But I think the folks who listen through Patreon are just grabbing it off of Patreon. If I'm wrong, let me know. If you're using some sort of special feed and you need your shit to be whatever, maybe we can help you. We probably can't. Just listen to the podcast on Patreon if you're listening to it early. Otherwise,
well, can't you get like an RSS link
through Patreon? You can, yeah. But I think when I upload the podcast on Acast, I can indicate whether it's exclusive or not to patrons of the show. And if it is, it somehow splices it into the patron feed. I don't think I'm using the feature, but I don't know what it bodes for our distribution for the show. Because if they're severing their deal or whatever, their agreement with Acast, there's a chance that maybe Acast is not doing well. And if that's the case, we might have to find another host for our podcast, which would suck balls. So I don't know.
That's a bummer.
I'm hoping that's not the case. But anyways, the listeners shouldn't really be affected at all. They're still going to air, as far as I know, on the streaming platforms as we have been. But let's get into games that we're playing. You guys know my journey. I've been doubling back and checking things off of the checklist. I am getting into Astro Bot again, and I'm very, very close to the end. I have rescued 250-some Astro Bots, and I think there's about 300 total. So I'm getting closer and closer. The levels are getting a little harder. Some of them, I find some levels to be harder than others. This is such a gem of a game. I do like it. I don't like... There's one thing of this game that I don't like. And if you're a completionist and you want to collect and get everything in all the levels, I like that it tracks it. You can just hover over the little level and it tells you what you've gotten, what you haven't gotten. Some of these levels have a magic portal in them. When you take the portal, you're done with the level. So some of those levels cannot be completed in one playthrough. So the magic portal isn't always at the end of the level. So, you may have 3 bots and a puzzle piece left, but the magic portal's there. But to complete it, you need to get the magic portal. But if you go get the bots and the puzzle piece, you can't double back. So you got to go back through it again. That's the thing that stresses me out about this game. Otherwise, it's aces. It's a good game. I haven't really played anything else this past week. It's just been Astro Bot and me, and I'm getting closer. And I plan to play a little bit more tonight. I've been doing about a level a day, maybe 2 levels a day, just cleaning up. And we'll see. The challenge levels, I posted a couple shorts on YouTube that did pretty well. Just me playing some of the more difficult, the 3-minute levels on Astro Bot, like the little challenge levels where you get 1 bot or something, and they're, my runs that were successful, I put on YouTube. They're not doing insanely great or anything, but I figured it was an easy upload, and I wanted to do that. So those are up there if you guys want to see some of these challenge levels and my skills. There is one where I didn't quite cut the video right, and you see me die once before the good playthrough goes through. But I'm just keeping it real for you guys. But anyways, I've done that. Jake, what are you playing?
I've just been playing Avowed still. I don't really have much else to say about the game. I'm kind of starting to feel a little bit worn out on it. I'm like just under 30 hours into it, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's not, for being like a quote unquote RPG, there's not like I'm never changing my weapons, which is like really weird. I've been playing the game for 30 hours and I'm level 12, which is like also really like it's like everything about the economy of this game I think is bad. Like don't get like it's not gold, it's like some other kind of currency, whatever, let's just call it gold. You don't get enough gold to like be able to, like, you can't just like go out, kill a bunch of stuff and then bring it back, sell it, get gold, buy new gear to be able to help you kind of get better, because it's like you go out, you kill something, it drops like a sword. You take it back, the sword, though, you can sell it for like 30 gold, but like a sword of the next caliber that you need is like 3,000 gold.
Right.
So it's like okay, well, I got to sell 100 of these swords that I find, which is impossible. Or you just basically do what I've been doing and just like kind of find like one set of like a weapon set that works for you and just freaking grind it out on that weapon set for sometimes 10 plus hours before I change my gear at all, which to me is like kind of silly. And there's not a lot of different items. It's like basically you get they have all the items. They have a common version, a fine version, an excellent version, and then there's like, I think there's like 1 or 2 tiers after. There's like 4 or 5 total tiers. And you can get resources to upgrade your weapons so that they go from like a common to a fine to an excellent, which is awesome. But they're also stingy with the resources that you get as well. So it's like I've got to choose whether or not I want to upgrade my sword, or I want to upgrade my armor, or I want to, upgrade, one of my other items that I have. And the thing is that the way that this game is sort of defines difficulty is based on the level of your gear. So you could tell this game was like originally intended to be a multiplayer kind of game.
Yeah.
Because you'll go like if you go fight, like if you like you go up to an enemy in a lot of RPGs, you'll see like a health bar above their head.
Yep.
And in some games it'll have like a level or something beside them. Mm-hmm. Well, in this game, it's literally just like a Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're colored. Those, like, whether it's like 1 is like white, 2 is blue, 3 is like fuchsia, 4 is gold, and that is literally correlating to, do you have common gear? Do you have fine gear? Do you have excellent gear? And so it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's so, like, the system seems very shallow to me, because the thing that sucks is the combat is so fun, but it's like, I'll get to a point where I'm like actually doing really well, and then it'll move me to a new area, and then all of a sudden I'm underleveled for everything. I'm fighting for my life everywhere, and I'm just grinding to try and find material to even like upgrade my sword so that it's the same level as the enemies and it does enough damage where I can try to actually kill them. It's not as bad as I'm making it sound, but it is like, it's frustrating how shallow the whole system is, and I wish it was a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. But just like the economy of the game in general bugs me. Like, dude, I'll go off the beaten path and find these chests everywhere. Like, this is the other thing that's annoying. It's like almost every single one of these chests has the exact same shit in it. It's like, it's got some money. It's got a couple of, it's got like an animal part. It's got like some sticks or some other crafting material in it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, it maybe like a common version of an item or something like that. But it's like that same shit every single chest that I open. It's almost the same exact like distribution of resources that it's giving me in all these chests, which is really fucking weird to me. Yeah, I don't know. So that part of it is a bit frustrating. And it's kind of got me to where I'm just sort of like over it. But when you fight and like you're beating the shit out of bad guys and stuff, it feels really fun to play. So that's like the only thing that's keeping me in it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that like I'm like having a good time, and then I'll like go around just beating the shit out of some bad guys, and then I'll get to like a chest at the end and it's like, you know, $20, and then or whatever, and it's just, oh my god. And the health potions are another thing. Because the game is challenging, I need a lot of health potions to keep me going. But it's like there's nowhere where you can just go and buy health potions.
Right.
All of the vendors might have one or two of them, and if you exhaust that, it might be a while before they have it again. So it's like I go like between two different towns, go to all the fucking vendors, buy all the health potions, and then end up using them all in a dungeon, and then I get out and it's like I've got one health potion that has to last me for a while until some of these vendors restock, or I happen to find one or two of them out in the wild. Like most games like this, there'll be like a vendor, like a alchemy vendor or something like that, where you go there and it's like, oh, this person always has infinite health potions. You can just go there and buy them. And maybe they limit how many you purchase by making them a little bit more expensive or something.
Right.
Where in this game, health potions are cheap, but I can't fucking find them anywhere. So it's a little bit frustrating. Dude, you're freaking me out with these pictures that you're sending.
I'm looking for a thumbnail picture while you're talking. It's so awesome.
The last one that you sent looks...
I might use that.
Just eldritch and horrible.
I think I'm using it.
Like freaking...
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah,
fused to his face.
These are fantastic.
Anyway, yeah, I'm done. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about Avowed. I'm gonna play it a little bit more, but I'm looking around for maybe something else. I'm just kind of biding my time until some of these games come out in the next couple months, like Doom and a couple other things. So
right.
I might jump into. I've been him-hawing about jumping into Jedi Survivor because it's on PS Plus. But yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Dude, that baby is huge.
I can't. All right. Well, yeah, you should jump into something else, man. If you're not totally enjoying it. I don't know what though. I mean, I don't know. We got some new games coming out this week. We got some stuff that just dropped recently, actually, if I'm being honest. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is just fantastic. I digress. Let's just get into the news. Listener feedback first. So One Black Talon wrote in and said he was listening to the latest episode, which was 367 on YouTube. And he went from there to YouTube Music, and it played You Make Me Sick immediately for him, which is a Fred Oakman song. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. The algorithm sounds like it's working. He said, well, to be clear, I bought your records a while back, so I have listened to them in the past. So I don't know if it's just tying it together or if it was just a coincidence. I like to think the algorithm is doing something, because didn't you say something happened with that Rowan Davis skateboarder when you looked up his skate video? The next video was like the Torpentines.
Yeah, it was the Seams video.
Something's listening. There's something at play here. So thanks for sharing that with me, One Black Talent. If you guys want to write in, you can write in, leave a comment on our YouTube videos, or better yet, join for $1 a month on Patreon and talk to us there. But we do appreciate the feedback. But let's get into some news. One of the big games that released this month, this year, honestly, is the latest from Joseph Faro in his studio at Hazelight. And they had one of the Game of the Years previously with It Takes Two. They released another co-op game called Split Fiction. This is now in the wild. And they've sold 1 million copies in 2 days. I'm sure having some legacy now of having Game of the Year didn't hurt. But I also wonder how this game is. We got a text from LJ, and he said he's been playing it, and he really enjoys it. Wasn't it he who said that? Was it LJ?
I think so, yeah. It wasn't me.
I think he said he was playing Split Fiction. It was great. No, maybe it was my buddy Mike.
No, it was LJ because I was on that string.
Okay, I know Mike was getting into playing one of these Haze-like games also. My buddy Mike. But cool. So that's good. I haven't checked to see what the reviews are for this game. In fact, I've seen very little regarding Split Fiction, which I think is odd because it had a pretty big wind-up. But I haven't really seen anything about Split Fiction. Do you want to pull anything on reviews for Split Fiction, Open Critic, and see what they're saying? It doesn't...
Split Fiction...
It doesn't matter. Oh, it's got a 90 on Open Critic. That's 98% recommend. That's fucking great.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Eurogamer 5 out of 5. IGN 9 out of 10. Game Rant with a 10 out of 10. GameSpot 10 out of 10. 4.5 out of 5. Games Radar. Hell yeah. Good for them. Sounds like they've got another great game on their hands. That's fantastic. Hats off because, we need more awesome co-op games where instead of fighting each other, you're doing something cool. This game looks dope. So good for them. I hope that this doesn't share a usual trend with games that come out strong and then somebody says something stupid or somebody at the studio does something, tweets or does something stupid and then it just gets review bombed. As it stands, looks like general consensus is that it's awesome. So we'll take it as it is. Very good. Jake, do you think you'll ever play this game?
It's definitely on my radar. I won't lie about that. It just really boils down to whether or not I can motivate myself to play a multiplayer game, which I know sounds silly, but it's the truth, man. It's difficult for me to I play on a very specific schedule, and it's very difficult for me to play on other people's schedules. Right. I like to play games early in the morning, like when I'm first waking up, and it's like sort of my me time a little bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll play in the evenings, especially if Sarah's not home or something like that, and that would be a little bit more conducive to doing a multiplayer kind of session. But as far as but I don't play a lot of multiplayer games, so it's not something that really speaks to me generally. But this game does look great.
Yeah, it does. Cool. Well, you did play the next game we're going to talk about, Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. There's some leaks going on right now that indicate this game very well may be dropping soon for PlayStation users. And it indicates that the pre-orders can begin as early as March 25th, with the game releasing on PS5 April 17th. So that is about a month from now. So that's kind of exciting for anyone interested. And I think this is smart. I mean, you don't want to lose steam. This game still is kind of in the back of people's mouths. People, it's not so old now that it lost some traction for sure, but it isn't completely dead in the water at this point. And I think this might even be a little late still. I don't know, but we'll see what happens with this PS5 release for The Great Circle. Jake, you said you beat this game and liked it, right?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's a wonderful game, and I hope that that a lot of people play it when it comes to PlayStation, because it was a unique experience. Just don't expect it to be like this gunfight. I mean, it can break down into that, but it's more of like a Dishonored style game than like a Call of Duty style game. So just kind of keep that in mind. And the performances in the game are amazing. Like, one of the things that's awesome is just exploring the tombs and stuff like that in first person in these games is really cool. So yeah, cool. I mean, it's wonderful.
Very good. Yeah, I might sink my teeth into it eventually. The next news point related to the game I'm playing is Astro Bot. There's a new console bundle which is going to be available starting this week. So if you don't have a PS5 or you want to get your hands on a console bundle for a friend or something, not a bad option. The Astro Bot game is fantastic, and I don't believe it really includes anything else but the game. I don't think there's a special controller or anything. I didn't really see, and maybe I could confirm it by going to the PlayStation blog, which is where I get some of my news. Let's see. Surely they talk about it here. They're talking about Death Stranding, which we're going to talk about in a second. The Last of Us controller, talk about that in a second. I don't see anything about the Astro Bot bundle on here, which is interesting, but it is apparently a thing. So probably nothing to really gloat about, but it's out there if you want it. Moving on, Death Stranding 2 details have come out. They've launched with the pre-order trailer as far as new stuff with the game. In the pre-order trailer came out during the South by Southwest panel, and the game will be a follow-up to Death Stranding, of course, and it has a release date now. We have a release date for June 26th of 2025, so this also is just around the bend. Not far from now. And I will say right now, this is my most anticipated game within my view right now. I will say I watched the pre-order trailer, about 10 minutes long. I got about 6 minutes in, and I'm just like, they're just showing way too fucking much. They're showing way too much. If you want nothing spoiled, don't watch this, because they talk about some of the characters you're going to see. They tell you their names, who's playing them. You get a lot of different environments. You see Norman Reedus walking through, which would be probably really nice to not have been spoiled. But I kind of wanted to watch it just to maybe discuss it briefly on the show today. But I turned it off at about 6 minutes in and just fast forwarded to the end to see the release date. What I should have done was just go to a news site to see what date it was going to release. But lesson learned. It didn't ruin the experience for me. I think it'll be just the same. But one thing I did pick up from the trailer, very, very minimal combat being shown in the trailer. Lots of just Norman walking with fucking shit on his back and towing stuff with a rope and riding in weird vehicles. So I don't know if Hideo is leaning into this being more of an action game. I would say, based on what I've seen, it's going to just be 100% more of the first Death Stranding, with just a wild story weaved in between, So maybe like a new faction or two that you're fighting, but there's still like the black goopy stuff. Instead of being a shark or a whale, it's looking like something else. But I don't know that this is going to reinvent the game in a way that some people want. I feel like it's going to feel, based on what I've seen, and this is just a speculation, it's going to feel very much more of the same. So if you liked what you got, it's going to be maybe expanded upon with different environments and maybe different tool sets that you can use for hauling your gear or your deliveries. But I don't think that you should walk into this thinking that it's going to be some sort of action-packed thing where you're now, using a cover system and all kinds of Metal Gear shit. I don't think we're going to get that here, unfortunately. But I was kind of hoping it was going to lean into that a little bit more. But this 10-minute trailer, 6 minutes I saw of it, didn't really seem that way, unless it's a secret or something. But I don't know. Jake, what's your opinion of Death Stranding 2 releasing June 26th? I might have lost him. I literally thought that Jake was just he said he's rebooting. Yeah, Jake's rebooting. So, anyways, I'll keep going a little bit more. Because if you're watching the video, it looks like he's just sitting very still. It's not like garbled or anything. It's like a perfect screenshot of Jake's face. He was moving and now he's not. We've been having some issues with our connectivity, so I apologize to the listeners. Let me pull some shit up on Death Stranding 2. If you played the first one, some interesting things, but this is called On the Beach, and they're toting it as an action adventure game, of course, developed by Kojima Productions. Sony's publishing this, and Hideo Kojima, the genius behind the Metal Gear series, is gonna be all over this. It's got his name all over this. The latest trailer is interesting, and this is kind of a spoiler, but it's not. It's just like the thing kind of says now. The first game was all about connecting worlds, connecting people, all this shit. And hold on, I'm writing Jake real quick. Let me know when you're back online, and I'll re-invite you. Not reimburse, re-invite. But anyways, yes. Oh, there's something. Oh, I don't know. It kind of timed him out now. So, yeah, I apologize, guys. Some technical difficulties today. But so the first one's all about making connections. This one, the tagline is, should we have connected? And on the Kojima Productions website, it says, embark on an inspiring mission of human connection beyond the UCA. Sam, with companies by his side, sets out on a new journey to save humanity from extinction. Join them as they traverse a world beset by otherworldly enemies, obstacles, and a haunting question: should we have connected? Step by step, legendary game creator Hideo Kojima changes the world once again. June 26th, pre-orders start March 17th. Jake, I don't know what all you heard from me, but Jake's back, everybody, but I really think that we're not getting more Death Stranding in iteration. I think we're getting more of the same.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks that way. I did see a couple of screenshots that showed like gunfire, but it's difficult to really tell what the hell it is actually going to be until we play it. I to be honest with you, when I saw that there was a panel, I just looked up the release date. I didn't even watch any of it. I saw a couple of screen grabs, and I'm like, yep, looks fucking bananas. Mm-hmm. I'll, wait until the game comes out to play it. We'll see if I play it. As much as I liked the listeners of the show probably remember, as much as I liked the first game, it was kind of a hard sell for me. So, and I believe that I liked the game. The game to me was good in spite of itself. Like I personally found all of the package delivery shit it got a little long in the tooth. I feel like they could have tightened it up a bit. I didn't need to be doing this for 35 hours. You could have gotten me the same story with a little bit less of the business in the middle, running back and forth, and with the freaking because you had to do these deliveries where it was like you start one place and then you have to deliver it like really far away. Mm-hmm. And then when you get there, you have to go all the way back to where you started, and you have to do it all on foot. And it's like, okay, I'm just like, the getting there is not a problem for me. But one of the things I absolutely fucking hate in video games is backtracking, because I feel like I'm wasting my time. Right. And that's a me thing. That's not a thing about the game. But the
imagery's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the imagery is great. I saw that picture. It was one of the screen grabs I saw.
Yeah.
Like, it's is that Mads Mikkelsen? Is he in this game?
I don't know if he is. I don't know
because like in the image, it's really hard to tell. That almost looks like fucking Solid Snake or something.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of did that on purpose, I think, just to get people stoked.
Which is weird. But yeah, I did hear most of what you were saying until I actually, because when my computer froze, mm-hmm. I could still, for like a minute, I could still hear you talking. So I couldn't control anything.
It's like you got your head cut off.
Yeah, it's like when a Windows update happens, it sometimes does that on my machine, which is fucking annoying. I hate Windows updates, but continue.
The guillotine, we'll do that also. You can see for 30 seconds and hear and, disconnected, dismembered from your body. It was like that happened to Jake. All right. Well, anyways, Death Stranding. We know everything we need to know about that. June 26th, everybody. PS Productions. There was a horror movie called Barbarian. And I watched it. It was a cool setup. And I didn't love the way it ended. But PS Productions are making all of these movies now. So the director for Barbarian is Zach Cregger, Cregger. And he wrote Barbarian and he was directed it. And it's like this indie, creepy-ass movie. Bill Skarsgård was in it. And the premise is actually pretty fucking dope. I'll give you the premise and then I'll tell you why we're talking about it in a second. The premise for Barbarian is a woman gets an Airbnb online, and it's like in a bad area, kind of, but the house is really nice. And she knocks on the door because the code's not working. And someone answers. And it's late at night. And he's like, you really ought to just come in. And she's like, well, I'm supposed to be here tonight, not you. And there's a mix-up. And she goes, I've got nowhere to go. And he's like, well, just come on in. And it kind of paints this picture that, like, this guy's maybe a bad guy. But she has no options, really. So she stays. Guy goes missing. She finds this fucking door in this Airbnb that goes down and down and down into the depths of the fucking world. And it's creepy as shit. And she can hear something calling her name and shit. It gets really fucking spooky and creepy, right? And I'm going to leave it there. But what a cool setup for a movie. And anyways, this guy has been hired by PS Productions, the guy who came up with Barbarian, to direct the new Resident Evil reboot movies. And the first Resident Evil movie reboot is coming out September 18th, 2026. So that's exciting to me because this guy is good at what he does. I didn't love the way the movie ended, but that had more to do with his lack of budget, the visuals, as opposed to the writing. So, in the directing, that was all fine. Just the visuals weren't my favorite. But pretty interesting. What do you think about Resident Evil reboot movies? Are you in?
I mean, it seems like I like the idea of it. I'm totally down with what they're trying to do. I mean, the Resident Evil movies are like kind of cult classics. They don't really have much to do about anything with the freaking video games. I mean, there's like obviously Umbrella's in there, and there's like some characters from it, like Nemesis and shit like that. But like, it didn't really have a whole lot to do with the actual story of Resident Evil. So if they do this and it is like accurate, they find a way to make it accurate and not gross in any way, that would be, and by that I just mean like a bad movie, not that, it could be gory. I'm sure it will be. But I don't know why it's like they're announcing this thing literally almost 2 years in advance. Yeah. It's like a year and 7 months or something like that.
Well, I think
a year and 8 months. It's like, why are we announcing it so far out?
Yeah, they might want us to get excited though. Let them know, there hasn't been a whole lot from PS Productions coming down the pike, except we know they've reignited the whole Twisted Metal thing. Are they doing that or not? I can't remember if that's PS Productions or not. Is that PlayStation Studios?
I believe it's PlayStation Productions, but it's through Paramount or whatever.
Right. And then, they teased an Uncharted 2, but who knows if that'll ever happen. I mean, Tom Holland really hasn't been in much lately, so who knows what he's doing. And then, we got the Gran Turismo movie, which did pretty well, and, we got The Last of Us 2 coming back out in HBO, and we have some things, but I think they're just making sure we understand that there's some shit in the pipeline. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's happening. That is just good all around for Resident Evil fans, because that means that they're still very much working on the franchise in ways. So that's good. All right. Well, The Last of Us got its own limited edition DualSense controller, and to me, there's nothing special about it. It actually doesn't look good at all to me. I think it looks stupid. It's black and white. No offense to Naughty Dog or whoever designed this. It just doesn't look good to me. Jake, did you see this?
I did. I mean, it's like whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I upset that they're doing it? I think the timing is a little bit weird. Like, have we really done much with The Last of Us recently? I don't.
Well, the HBO series is getting reboot.
But
right.
I guess the HBO series is coming back out in a couple months, so maybe they're trying to cash in on that, which would make sense. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it looks fine. It's not really anything that's gonna excite me too dramatically, though. I gotta say.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not gonna buy this thing, but I'm sure a bunch of people will. I don't think that it looks bad, if I'm being completely honest with you, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like the coolest controller they've come out with. Like, it's not like the Astro Bot controller or like the Concord controller, which, unlike the game, was arguably pretty awesome. So I don't know. We'll see.
The
how it does,
Helldivers controller was nice.
The Helldivers controller was sick as shit too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, bleeding into this next news point, talking about The Last of Us. This is from Game Rant. But the Neil Druckmann, the director of The Last of Us Part 2 in The Last of Us, co-director of The Last of Us. He worked with Bruce Straley on the first one, but he indicated that this is an interview with Variety, and he said that fans would be wise to not bet on another game, and nothing that the TV series could be the last the fans see of the franchise. And noting, that the TV series could be the last of the fans of the franchise. So I don't know if this is just to draw attention. I don't know if this is so that people start getting... When you run a company, he didn't say that unequivocally it's not happening. He just said, don't count on it being a sure thing. And maybe he's thinking, well, if Intergalactic fails, it could really fuck their studio up. Maybe he's inferring that. Or maybe he's trying to get people to cool the fuck down on Intergalactic and just take it for what it is, because you might not get The Last of Us 3 from us. So move with the change, accept it, try out our new IP, because that YouTube video, the trailer for Intergalactic, got so much fucking hate, it was unbelievable. They disabled comments. So I don't know what that means. People just want to be angry in this day and age about something. And like, it's just, I mean, I don't understand. I didn't see anything wildly offensive about the Intergalactic trailer. In fact, we both talked about it at length on one of our podcasts after it was announced, about what we thought was cool about it. I thought it had a little bit of Concord vibe. You didn't really think so. And on a second watch of the trailer, I also agree that it didn't really have too much of a Concord vibe. But I thought it looked cool, man. And I'm just so annoyed that... first off, do we need a Last of Us 3? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, no, we don't need that. We don't need one. We didn't need a second one. The first one was great. We got a second one, and in my opinion, it was kind of long, but I personally think that it was just as good, if not better, than the first one. Do they want to risk going back into the foray in making a third when there's so much hate right now towards Naughty Dog over The Last of Us 2 and what they did with it. They can't put all this time into a game when half of the fan base shit on the studio over what they did in Last of Us 2. Why would they revisit that IP? And if you're upset about it, it's your fucking fault. Because you were assholes about it, right? It's your fault that this isn't going to happen. And if you secretly wanted it to happen, well, look what you did. So it might happen, it might not happen, but I'm okay with what we have. Would I be jazzed about Last of Us 3? Yeah, I was jazzed about factions. It didn't happen. And apparently some people who had eyes on factions said that it was actually really fucking rad. But they just didn't, Naughty Dog didn't have what it was going to take to keep it going as a live service, is what I've read other places. So they had to kind of stop it. But yeah, there was an inside guy or somebody who had said that they had actually seen factions and thought it was really, really something special. But and I would have to, like, I sucks I can't cite that source. I don't remember where I read it, but I know I read it. And it sucks that we're not going to get that, because literally everything that Naughty Dog has done, arguably, since Uncharted 2 has been masterclass. And it's Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3. They did Lost Legacy, which is kind of mediocre, but still good. The Last of Us 2, Uncharted 4. All these games have been fucking bangers. So for you to think that this new title is going to be dog shit, it's like, on what grounds? On what they have time and time proven themselves. Intergalactic is probably going to be a great fucking game, unless I eat crow over this whole thing. I don't know if I'm gonna or not, but I think that they're a very capable studio despite all the changes. And it's kind of a bummer because it's one of the few IPs that Sony has right now that has a lot of potential to earn a lot of money. And they give Naughty Dog such a long leash to do what they want. You know, we've seen that with factions. Now we're seeing it with them trying a brand new IP yet again. They have not returned to Uncharted since Uncharted 4, which was like 2017 or something. 2016. I don't know when Uncharted 4 came out. It was a while back. So it just makes me wonder, are they nervous about this new IP? Is Neil kind of nervous? Is he thinking about retiring and going into movies? Because I know he said he loved working on the Last of Us TV series. Who would take the reins and do a Last of Us Part 3? Neil, like him or not, is talented. And, we are lucky to have him in the video game industry. So I hope that whatever he does something awesome. But I think Intergalactic's going to be good. Jake, what do you think? Are you upset about them saying don't count on The Last of Us 3 as being a sure thing? I mean, he's not even saying it's not happening, but he's alluding to the fact that it's not a sure thing, which is pretty open.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we should just not even think about The Last of Us Part 3 until that's something that that they kind of bring up themselves. We get into this like habit in video games of just constantly expecting the next thing and not being satisfied until we are given some kind of information on the next thing. And a lot of times it results in that information being delivered way too early. Now, I'm not saying Naughty Dog does this. They're notoriously tight-lipped about their projects. But it's like, if The Last of Us Part 3 is a PlayStation 6 game, why the fuck would you even care to want to know about it now anyway?
Right.
Because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to be excited and then you're going to have to freaking wait 5 to 7 years for it, or you're just going to be one of these people that spends the next 5 to 7 years fixating on it and trying to dunk on it wherever possible.
7 years, to be clear, I'll be 50 years old. Pushing 51. Right. Put that in perspective.
Which is absolutely bananas to think about. I've been thinking about even like I'm probably going to be turning 40 the year the PS6 comes out. So it's like, wow, I mean, these things, they come and go, but you realize that time really does blow by. So why even care to like know about it now? It's one of those things where it's like, do I think they're going to make Last of Us Part 3? Probably eventually. Do I need a third game? I don't know that I do, to be honest with you. But I want to put an asterisk on that because I really do feel like I need to go back and replay The Last of Us Part 2 again. Because it really did, the first time I played it, it really did rub me the wrong way. I still thought the game was amazing, but it wasn't like The Last of Us Part 1 where that game literally, this sounds so cheesy, but like as far as games go, The Last of Us Part 1 changed my life as far as like what video games are and what they can be. And The Last of Us Part 2 was more of the same, but in a direction that was harder and in a way that was less excuse me, less chicken soup for the soul, to go with the violence and the craziness of the world.
Yeah,
like
right.
Last of Us Part 1, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened and plenty to feel bad about. But the whole Ellie Joel dynamic and the father-daughter relationship and the way that things kind of turned out and everything, like it all, like it gave you like a feel-good balance to it.
Yeah.
Where I feel like The Last of Us Part 2, the entire point of that game was to make you feel bad. And I'm not saying there's a problem with that. A lot of art is meant to elicit emotion, but there were really no moments in The Last of Us Part 2 after the first like 4 or 5 hours where you're like where you're feeling good about any of the characters in the game or what they're doing. You pretty much hate everybody by the time the game is over.
Yeah.
And there's like a little bit of like a glimmer of hope at the end of the game for all of the characters. And that, to be honest with you, is the one thing that leads me to believe that there's going to be a part 3 where it's like, this is like the low fucking point. And then maybe like almost like a, the middle act of a trilogy. And then maybe part 3, they'll sort of bring about like a more of a, it doesn't have to be necessarily happy-go-lucky, but like a sort of like a conclusion that everybody feels good about. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. So, but as far as like his comments, I don't really have too much thought about it. I don't really care. I can wait whenever the next game comes out. I'll be there for it. But until then, I'm not really clamoring.
Cool. I agree. All right. Next news point. Ballistic Moon, the studio behind the Until Dawn remake, is down to a minimal staff and just a handful of workers at this point after the lackluster sales of the remake. They've all but closed. They've said the studio down. I didn't play the Until Dawn remake. The game was very fondly, like the original, received and looked back on as like a great thing. Dude, sorry. Fucking hangnail. The worst time to have one. It's like fucking bothering me. But like the thing is, it's like originally made by Supermassive. I've said time and time again that like I thought some of their later games have been just as good, if not better. And I think the only reason people like the Until Dawn games so much was because it was the first kind of game like that by them. I think they have other games that are just as good. So, anyways, Not a surprise to me. This didn't do super well. There was no push behind this game whatsoever. They are doing the movie. It makes me wonder what's going to happen with this movie now. I don't think it came out yet. I really want to see it. But we did get a taste of the trailer, so I don't know. Maybe they should have held on releasing the remake until the movie hit. Because who knows? Maybe the movie will be a secret success or something, and now the studio's shut down, so the game studio is fucked. The remastered studio. To be clear, it's not Supermassive Games that's shutting down. It's this here Ballistic Moon Studios. But I don't know. I didn't play the remake. I heard that it was just fine, and that the ending possibly lends itself to a sequel to the game. But I don't know. Jake?
Yeah, it's always a bummer whenever a studio gets shut down, but you've pretty much kind of hit the nail on the head as far as everything that I've heard too, is that there really wasn't anything to write home about with this game. And from what I've heard, like, if you've played the original, there really isn't much of a reason to play this unless it's just mostly a curiosity. If you love the game and you love the studio, you kind of want like that alternate version of it or whatever. But like, I don't know that it ran the best, and they had some. I guess like adding that like free move camera kind of affected the way that the game feels, and there's something about that game where when they announce this, it's just like one of these remakes where I'm just like why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they were just trying to capitalize on the movie, because like you brought that up, and that may be true. Maybe they're trying to capitalize on the movie, get some sort of sympathy sales out of it or whatever you want to call it. But I'll be honest, the trailer for the movie looked way better than this remake did, from what I've seen. So yeah,
Let's see when
I don't know what else to say.
The movie's supposed to come out. Until Dawn movie release date. Let's see. April 25th is when it's dropping. So that's nice. Around the bend too, in about a month. So bad timing for soon. Ballistic Moon. But moving on to the next news point. Coming this spring, Absolum, Absolum, is a new beat 'em up from publisher Dotemu, however you say the frickin' name. Dotemu, whatever. And developer Guard Crush Games, who were involved with Streets of Rage 4, and another studio called Supamonks. And this is a fantasy beat 'em up game, and it looks awesome. This game looks so good. I'm so stoked. It's coming this spring. There's no official release date. This is right in my wheelhouse. This game looks so good. And put it on your wish list, folks. Absolum, Absolum. This game looks dope. There's some, if you're looking at the trailer, there's some gameplay interstitched towards the end. It looks fantastic. And
yeah, the art style is wonderful in this game.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
It's like it's got this very nice hand-drawn kind of art style. Almost reminds you of like it kind of gives me Banner Saga vibes, but a little more detail, a little bit more anime or something. Like I don't know really what to say. I don't know how to describe it, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, there was an old beat 'em up by Capcom called Knights of the Round, and I'm getting some minor, or like there was a Dungeons and Dragons beat 'em up with you could actually choose the outcome. I'm getting some of that from this, and that's like a form of beat 'em up we don't usually get, where it's not a linear beat 'em up. It's linear in that you get stages, but depending on decisions you make and where you tell like your party to travel dictates the next level that you play. And it requires multiple playthroughs. Now, I don't know if that's how this game is going to be set up or structured, but I hope that it is, because that would be really fun. And there's nothing better than a beat 'em up, aside from a beat 'em up that has replayability. So it's going to be dope. So this game's on my list for sure. It looks fucking awesome.
Cool.
And lastly, we'd be remiss not to discuss Monster Hunter Wilds, which released this past week. And I don't play this game. Jake, you don't play this game. But it has sold a whopping 8 million copies in 3 days. So this is Capcom's fastest selling title ever. So that says a lot. But I didn't know people were that hungry for this game. Pretty wild. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, the first Monster Hunter World, I think was the last one, was Capcom's, like, I think it was like their best-selling game ever or something like that, which is pretty incredible. So you kind of knew this was going to be another sort of hit, and good for them. I mean, hopefully with the success of this, we'll get some additional games from them that are a little bit more up our alley, like Resident Evil or like they do like Street Fighter and Mega Man and some of these other games that I think would be kind of cool to get more smaller entries or additional entries in.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as this game goes, it looks great. It's not for me. The way that the game plays. I played a little bit of Monster Hunter World, and I was out pretty quickly, just in how difficult it was to sort of get your feet underneath of you while you were playing it. So
a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So, anywho.
Well, we're going to do something we haven't done in a while on the show, and that's talk about new games coming out this week. Push Square has changed up the way that they are letting us know about the games that are coming out this week. They have nice little write-ups about these games. And it makes all of these games sound good, which is weird. For the longest time, Sony would do write-ups on these games, and they would all sound like garbage. And the write-ups now all sound really good, and I'm not going to read them all, but I will give you an example with the first game. Warside, March 10th. Step into the battlefield with Warside, a modern iteration on the classic turn-based tactics formula. Experience an epic story mode campaign. Choose between legendary commanders, each with unique playstyle and devastating battle powers. Master the battlefield with a vast array of terrain and units, all brought to life with beautiful pixel art. That sounds great. Like all these games, these write-ups all sound great to me. It's confusing. Beyond the Ice Palace 2, March 11th. Centum, C-E-N-T-U-M, March 11th as well. This is weird. It just says you're a prisoner in a cell. You have to escape, but is that really the goal? Centum appears to be a point-and-click adventure, but beneath the surface is something altogether different. Chernobyl Liquidators, March 11th. Wander Stop, March 11th. March 12th, we're getting Fate Reawakened. Heroes Hour on March 12th. We're getting Metal Bringer, not Metal Hellsinger, but Metal Bringer, March 12th. It's a roguelike action adventure where you control humanoid labor. In giant arms to discover the mysteries of the world. Dwerve, March 14th. Police Shootout. Weird. But the write-up is, Police Shootout is a turn-based first-person shooter game. Start your policeman's career, solve cases, gain experience, begin your adventures in San Adreno now. WWE 2K25, a big one. And I'll read that one, and that comes out March 14th, and this is the last one for today's show. And a franchise first, Step Outside the Ropes and Onto the Island for PS5. An immersive WWE-themed world filled with epic arenas, challenges, and live events. Fight to join the bloodline with the original tribal chief Roman Reigns as you upgrade and customize your My Superstar through multiple storyline chapters. Weird. I didn't realize that these had stories and shit to them. I will say, speaking about wrestlers, one thing happened, and it's been making its meme. The Pearl Jam guy, have you heard about this wrestler named Stephen Flo?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's hilarious. He seems like an upstanding guy. I went down this rabbit hole, and he's been wrestling for like 7 years. He's like this scrawny dude. He's real stringy, but he wears like 2 flannels, and he's part of this thing called Super Wrestlers. and it's in Chicago, and they all have these it's like homage to like the old wrestlers back in the day. Like they all have like a shtick. And he was saying like he would drive with his fellow friends that wrestle in this other league, and they would just play a fucking game where they'd try to come up with wrestler names based on songs. And Stephen Flo came up. He was in an interview, he was talking about it. And then they met with like a manager, and then his buddy said, "Oh yeah, man, you should do Stephen Flo." And his manager was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's this thing we came up with. It's like, I'd dress like Eddie Vedder and be this grunge guy and call myself Stephen Flo." And he's like, "Oh, dude, we're doing this. You got to get into super wrestlers and be Stephen Flo." He's like, "I think there's some potential here." And then lo and behold, it's this huge fucking meme. It's just really funny, his intro song. And he has like this shitty guitar he carries around with him, acoustic guitar. But it's the lyrics to Even Flow, but it's just Stephen Flo the whole time. It's just Stephen Flo, Stephen Flo, Stephen Flo. And he comes out and he's just going like this, and everyone's just going nuts because he's got 2 flannels. He needs to get a third one. He's wearing one, and there's one around his waist. And it's absolutely one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I got a really good laugh out of it. And I've been slowly kind of watching WWF, which is the old WWE, and Royal Rumble matches on YouTube because they're all on there. And like there's one where the Royal Rumbles where they 2 minutes in the ring, one guy gets called in. They draw 30 numbers from a hat, all these wrestlers, these big name guys. And if you're number 1, you go into the ring. And the only way you get disqualified or get kicked out of Royal Rumble is you got to be thrown over the top rope and outside the ring, and that's how you get out. Well, I watched one. I remember seeing it. I remember watching it as a kid, but I rewatched it, and it's funny too because they do the countdown. There'll be like 4 guys in the ring, and then the counter's like 5, 4, and everyone in the audience is just standing up, just waiting to see who's coming down the aisle, who's coming next to wreck house, right? Because every time you get in there, for the most part, you wreck house for a bit because you got the most energy. And anyways, I was watching with Andre the Giant, and like the first like 5, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, maybe 10, 12 minutes, they're trying to get Andre. All these guys are teaming up on Andre, trying to get him over the top rope. Like each guy has a leg, and they're trying to push him over, and no one can do it. He's just too big, and he's just like choke slamming people and just being a badass in the ring. And eventually Jake the Snake gets called. And I forgot about this, but Andre the Giant was terrified of snakes. So Jake the Snake gets in there, and Jake gets thrown out, over the top rope, and he leaves. But he comes back, and he's mad at Andre, and he throws his snake in the ring, and Andre just willingly goes over the top rope and just like, I'm done. He's like, I'm out. And that's how that one went. And everyone's like, oh, boo. They're mad at Jake because he shouldn't have come back. But yeah, man, I can't believe some of the shit they got away with animals too. Like the way they used that. See, he went through so many different snakes, I think Jake did. But the way they used that snake, and they'd let people bite them and stuff. And the Undertaker had like a crow or like a big raven or something he came out with on this chariot once, and it was just like, I'm an animal lover, but it was like just clearly chained right to the thing so it couldn't fly away, And it's just like there, and it's like flapping its wings and shit, and you're just like, I can't believe they got away with some of that shit. And Coco Beware had a parrot, So many guys had different animal friends. It was weird. Like that was like their thing. They were like an animal tamer. I'm surprised that's as crazy as it got. I'm surprised like no one had like a tiger or like some crazy fucking like, I don't know, a dog or something, a German Shepherd or something that looked mean But wrestling's really interesting. And if you guys are interested in watching some of those old Royal Rumbles, if you're our age or whatever, and you just want to wet the palate for a minute, you can get on YouTube and just look up SummerSlam or World, WWF Royal Rumble, and they're all on there. Like the Big Boss Man and all that shit. And dude, it's a blast.